Good morning. Good morning, my beautiful friends. This is your wake up call with Maui Paul. I am Maui Paul. We are here today to say some nice things about ourselves. Good morning, everybody, for being here. Nice to see you here, Lane. Good morning, Lauren. Good morning, Jan. Wonderful to see everybody here today. Thanks so much for being on the wake up call. We're here to do what we do every morning on Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. I'm going to pull a card off the top of the deck, ask you if you are the affirmation on the card, and we are going to respond out loud together. I am that affirmation. As we do this, we're going to be building into our own lives and ultimately changing up the way that the way that we see the world. So, good morning, Kelly. Wonderful to see you here today. So without further ado, let's pull a card and say that today I am forgiving. I am forgiving. I release resentment and embrace peace. So I am forgiving. I release resentment and embrace peace. Are you forgiving? You are forgiving. You release resentment and embrace peace. I'll write that down in the comments. I encourage you guys to do the same thing. Today, we affirm that we are forgiving, we release resentment, and embrace peace. Ultimately, forgiveness is a gift that we give to ourselves. The people who have wronged us aren't losing any sleep at all over the fact that they've wronged us. For so long as we are focused on the fact that we have been wronged, then we are only suffering for our own, for our own mindsets. I used to be a person who really did hold on to a grudge. I mean, I could nurse a grudge for years, being angry about things or people or situations that were just that were very, very old. And eventually, I realized. I remember I was, I was down in Costa Rica, and I was laying in my restaurant. I had a restaurant down in Costa Rica, and I was laying in bed in the back room where I had set up like a little room for myself, for sleeping in. And I remember that I was just laying in bed, and I was so angry about a situation that had happened years beforehand, and I was so angry that I was making myself feel sick. I was just continually thinking about it and thinking, just constantly thinking about it in my head about how this person had just really done me dirty. And and I remember as I was laying there, and I mean just nursing this grudge, feeling physical pain because of it. I remember asking myself or thinking to myself, I was like, wait a minute, this other person has no idea where I am. They have no idea who I am, and yet I can't even really even remember their names. I could only just remember the situation. And yet here I am laying in my bed in a totally different country, years after this thing happened, making myself feel physically ill over what happened in the past. And at that moment, I realized that I was just so full of resentment, so full of anger. And instead of living my own life, I was very busy. I was very busy. I was very busy pretending that the thing that had happened in my past was still important, and it wasn't. And so I am forgiving. I decided in that day that I was going to be forgiving, that I was going to release that resentment. And so I did I did what would later on become quite the spiritual practice for me of Ho'oponopono, which was a Hawaiian forgiveness practice. This was long before I lived in Hawaii. But basically, I just decided that I was going to forgive, and I made a forgiveness list. So I grabbed a notebook and a pen and a paper, and I started writing down all of the people who had wronged me in my life, all the people who had screwed me over, all the people who had made me feel bad. And I just started writing and writing and writing, and it was, probably about 3 or 4 different pages of all the resentment that was building up inside of me. And then I went down the list, and I very intentionally forgave all of those people, all of those situations. And as I did, something very interesting happened, which was that I kind of came to an understanding that I had to forgive myself also. I realized that in many of these cases, this resentment that I was holding, that I also was a part of those situations. that perhaps I also hadn't been, I my hands were not fully clean in these situations either. And just writing all this stuff down and just taking a look at all of my resentment helped me to understand more about myself and realize that that perhaps I needed to mend my ways as well. And so I released that resentment and I embraced peace. And let me tell you that just because I did this doesn't mean that I was that I all of a sudden turned over a new leaf and behaved differently. It wasn't like that at all. Uh, I After writing all this stuff down and intentionally going through and forgiving all these people, it didn't take the sting completely away. But it did take it mostly away. And so I am forgiving and I release resentment and embrace peace. And that's a beautiful thing about forgiveness. As I said, it's a gift that we give to ourselves. It's something that when we release that resentment, we are free to look forward. We don't have to look back anymore. We don't have to be so worried about all the stuff that's happened in our lives that sucked. We don't have to think in our heads, well, my life isn't the way it is because this person did, or my life isn't the way I want it to be because this person in the past treated me this way in the past. We can release that resentment. And then when I released the resentment, then there was room for peace. And so in the same way that these bubbles kind of like float effortlessly on the wind, so too was my soul a lot more buoyant after I released all that resentment. So I am forgiving, and nowadays, whenever somebody does something that is, that is, gosh, that I don't like, somebody treats me in a way that I don't like, I'm more proactive about forgiving. I'm more proactive about releasing that resentment because that resentment doesn't serve me. I don't get so angry anymore that I make myself sick, which is good. At the same time, I realize that as I go through my own life, that resentment just doesn't have a place in it. So I am forgiving, and you are forgiving as well. And so today, let's just consider the people who have wronged us and all the ways in which we need to forgive and release the resentment for stuff that's happened in our past. But beautiful friends, I will talk to you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. We'll come back with another one of these. Until then, this is your up to the moment reminder. I love you. I care about you. You are a wonderful person. You mean a lot to me. Good morning again to the Lane, Lauren, Jan, Kelly, Susan, Shauna. Wonderful to see you guys here today. Good morning, Tammy. Let's see here.
Sometimes live shows are more important than a baby.
I'm going to go take care of a baby. I love you guys. I'll talk to you all later. And aloha from paradise.